Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And I went to check to see if anybody was alive, if I could do anything for anybody, and watch people take their last breath.
Yeah, that was a witness to yesterday's shooting in California. I know what you're saying. What? I know there was something. How bad was it? 9 people dead. Plus a shooter. It's awful. It's horrible. But you didn't hear much about it. You want to know why? Because like usual, what do? The media rushes. Is he an Islamic terrorist? No. Check his Facebook page. Is he a Trump supporter? So? He's just a disgruntled employee. Well, then what about the gun?
New information in from the sheriff here. She says Samuel Cassidy had 2 semi-automatic handguns and 11 magazines with ammunition that he used to kill his victims. The guns were legal and do not appear to have been modified. After searching the buildings here, they did not find any explosive devices overnight. A dog had signaled there might have been bombs. They found precursor items for building explosives in Cassidy's locker, but no actual devices. Still, nothing has been found like a note to reveal a motive.
So, doesn't seem to be anything more than a disgruntled employee that did a heinous crime by searching out certain people, and he had handguns? Well, there's nothing to see here. That's the media yesterday. And it shows you so much about what the media is all about. It's narratives. You know, right now, if you're sitting there and you look at the media, and this is the thing that drives me crazy, because people say you're in the media. No, I'm a talking head, right? I'm here for opinion. I don't claim to be a journalist. Others do. Others claim to be that way. They're industry leaders of journalism, from the New York Times to the LA Times, and CNN passes their people off as journalists. Fox during the day, when it's just regular, the Brett Bears and stuff, that they're not Hannity's and the others. CNN's like, yeah, we're a journalist. MSNBC, like Morning Joe, much as I'm not a fan, they don't claim to be journalists. They're talking ad pieces. But they go and they push narratives. And everybody's like, it's big tech, that's big media. But it just shows you yesterday. So, wait. It wasn't a disgruntled, evil, white guy who didn't have any relationship with these people and just wanted to kill a bunch of people because, for whatever reason, Donald Trump? No. Was it an Islamic terrorist? No. Was it the evil gun? No, it's just handguns. Which, look, the act itself was heinous. He arson, burned down all of it is awful. But it did show you yesterday that it's like there was nothing that they could tie to something that fits a narrative. Same thing goes with something like the Wuhan thing. Remember the Wuhan? Don't you talk about things. We posted stuff on our Facebook page so long ago about this, and we got suspended. Twitter, same thing. Have to take this down because it's not true. This is a lie. How do you know it's a lie? You can't have a theory. You can't ask a question.
I'm telling you, the Chi-Coms are trying to weaponize this thing.
The kind of bat from which this virus jumped to humans wasn't even present there.
But the worst of all, whether it came from the lab or came from the bats it all came from China.
The Wuhan lab, we know that it's been debunked this week. Donald Trump is still pushing the debunked bunkum.
There is no empirical evidence to verify that.
Coming up with a conspiracy theory to try and foment xenophobia.
He may pick up the conspiracy theory that this was some weapon.
People don't keep bats in captivity. Complete baloney.
If you look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's out there now, very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated.
But hold on a second. You've now changed your tune, right? There's nothing to see here, guys. This is conspiracy theory. Nothing could see here. Now people are changing their tune at a high rate of speed. You wonder why when they ask for an audit and in some of these states, and here Arizona being one of them, and people push back and stuff, and you guys are conspiracy theorists and all of those things. And then you get stuff like this where it's like, well, hold on a second. I mean, maybe there's something here. I mean, yeah, maybe.
Just how quickly does a virus become contagious, and what does that tell us about it? I was talking to Robert Redfield.
I do not believe this somehow came from a bat to a human. Normally when a pathogen goes from a zoonotic to a human, it takes a while to figure out how to become more and more efficient. I just don't think this makes biological sense.
Saying is that at the jump, the virus sort of sputters along for a while. It's got to figure out humans. This thing came screaming out of the gates at 90 miles an hour, and that's why Redfield and a lot of others believe that was because it was already being exposed to human cells in a lab.
Oh. And that's what drives people crazy. You want to know why there's lunacy in a lot of ways? Because we can't have a conversation about anything in this country anymore. And then what happens is the conspiracy theory runs wild. Where I always tell everybody, here's the thing about a conspiracy theory, a folk tale, whatever you want to call it. There's always a grain of some sort of truth inside of some of those things. What happens is, rather than transparency, people cover stuff up, maybe it's for themselves, maybe it's for others, maybe. You don't know why they do that. But usually to protect themselves and other powerful people. And what ends up happening is people start to poke and dig, and then they start to tie things to different things, and it goes crazy. These are real questions that people had. And guess what? If you asked them 6 months ago or a year ago, you were bad. You were bad. You were a xenophobe. You were a conspiracy theorist. You're all of those things. Now it's like, yeah, it's probably a good chance the thing probably came from something else, because there's no way that this could have done what it did the way that it did it as fast as they did it. And then you wonder why people who say, well, I don't think the last election was fair. I think there was a lot of stuff that went on. I don't think that's real. And you step back and you say, could you blame people for not trusting the media? Yesterday we have a shooting where 9 people died, but because it didn't fit a narrative that somebody wants, they just turn and bounce the other way. These are the things that frustrate people when it comes to the media. These are. I don't know why the guy did what he did yesterday. I don't know why he decided yesterday he was going to burn his house down, take 2 handguns, and go and kill a bunch of people. No idea, but he did. That's the thing that drives us crazy. We're sitting here saying, well, it wasn't the right gun to fit a narrative. It wasn't the right gun to because it's got to be all of the right things to make it work. Because if it bleeds, it leads. But now, if it bleeds, it leads in a way that we want it to lead, in a narrative that we want, then we'll really do it. Like if this was a white supremacist coming to kill a bunch of people of color, it would be nonstop. You know it and I know it. It's the same kind of thing. If a black officer shoots a white guy, nobody cares. If a white officer shoots a white guy, nobody cares. Didn't fit a narrative. The narrative last year was Trump was bad, he was evil, God knows. I mean, think about with the hydrochloroquine. Didn't want him to be right. People, they were praying, I hope this isn't right, because I can't give Trump a win. I don't care about the Trump side of things. What I cared about is we can't have conversations. We can't. And that leads to people digging deeper, and then people start to go down rabbit holes, and that's not good. It's not. That's why people don't trust the media. You're not giving honest reporting. You're not being real about things. And it frustrates the hell out of the average person who just would like to know who, what, when, how, and why, And if they disagree with something, they want to do a little research, that's fine. But when you're like, well, we'll tell you the who if we want you to. We'll tell you the what if we need to. And you will tell you the why, maybe. That's frustrating. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Apparently the Chinese are upset with Fauci now. And this is what I got yesterday. I got bombarded by, Chad, if you think this Wuhan thing's real, why did, he goes, we've been telling everybody that for a long time. Why is it that Biden's covering this thing up? He's not covering it up. Yeah, he stopped the Department of Justice should be involved in this. The intelligence community. Oh, by the way, which he ordered them to have a report within 90 days to him. The intelligence community's goal is to go out and gather intelligence in ways that the Department of Justice really aren't going to do. Will we ever find out the truth? Probably not. Will there be decisions that have to be made along the way for the betterment maybe of mankind? So there's not a nuclear war? The possibility's there? But the reality is it's they're going to look at it. And we'll never know the truth the way it should have been put out there, the way that could have stopped this, because you're dealing with a state-run media and the Chinese Communist government who's all about protecting their own. Sounds familiar. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Omaha Steaks. I am super excited. Going to take a nice weekend. Father's Day's not too far away. This weekend I've got my Omaha Steaks, what's left of them, because I've already gobbled up a lot. So I'm going through my second batch here. People are like, my goodness, how much do you eat? The new Get Out and Grill assortment's ready, and it's perfect for Father's Day. Kids are going to be over. We're going to barbecue the heck out of stuff. We're going to eat a bunch of stuff. The burgers, they got Jumbo Franks. But these steaks are amazing. Butcher cut strips, incredible. They're aged 30 days. That's important because it equals tenderness. On top of that, you get boneless chicken breast, Omaha steak burgers, gourmet Jumbo Franks, the steak fries, which are awesome, caramel apple tartlets. It's perfect for Dad. And it's perfect for you because you're giving it to Dad, so what's Dad going to do? Obviously, he's going to cook it. Why not enjoy some of that with him? Omaha Steaks, Get Out and Grill assortment. Go to omahasteaks.com. Take advantage of this. On top of that, they're going to throw in 4 free New York strip burgers with your order. Go to omahasteaks.com. The keyword is Chad right there in the search bar. omahasteaks.com. Use that keyword, Chad. The Get Out and Grill assortment. Take advantage of that and get the free 4 New York strip burgers. omahasteaks.com. Keyword Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
This is the 4th straight week the number of jobless claims has dropped, a positive sign for the labor market as the economy continues its pandemic recovery. 406,000 people filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits last week, bringing the number closer to its pre-pandemic level. Businesses have said they're desperate for workers to meet the surging demand, even as nearly 16 million Americans were continuing to claim benefits through unemployment programs.
Yeah, and Democrats have their way. They'd probably like to keep him there. That's not fair, Chad. It's not fair. Well, tell me what it is. Well, they're just not paying good. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this again because it's always about the economy, stupid. You lost your job because of the pandemic. Now we're opening up pretty much everywhere. There's a few states that are still much more shut down than the rest, but by and large, we're getting back to that point where I haven't worn a mask. I can't even remember the last time. I think it's probably last week because I think last Thursday here they said you have to wear a mask in the building. Outside of that, I've been wearing a mask anywhere. So we're kind of opening up, right? Can we just throw that out there? So either your job has gone away forever. So you got to make a choice. Now, do I get a new job? Or am I just going to stay here and do nothing? Or your job's opened up and you've made a conscious choice not to go back, or they've not invited you back. So you have to make a choice. Time to get out and start working. You don't have to marry the job, but get out there. What happened to pride, too? Whatever happened to that? I was talking about that the other day with like several people. Whatever happened to the pride thing? Where's that thing where you're like, you know what? I can't do this. I need to get out and work. Where's that? You know, a little skip in your step, a little hop in your step. And I get, for some people out there, it's a stressful situation. And I know childcare is an issue. But was it an issue before? That's the other thing. Like, well, before the pandemic, you know, childcare was an issue. For some, obviously, because of schools being shut down. But we're heading towards that time of the year where schools aren't open anyways. Not in the way that they are during the regular school year. It's a curiosity thing with me. It's like, do you not have a job because you're choosing not to get a job? Is it only because of childcare? What happens that time of the year when your kids don't have school? There's a lot that goes into it. Not everything's the same. There are some people that they've made a business decision. Okay, understand that they're struggling, but a majority of people, if you want to go get a job, it's available. I don't like that job. That's sucks. I get it. If all work jobs we don't like. In saying that, it's time to get back to work, America. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Yeah, the whole pride thing. I was like, God, just sitting around all day doing nothing? It's not what we're doing. And what if you're scared? Get a vaccine. I got one and I'm still scared. Then you're going to have to figure it out from your house, how you live. But the government shouldn't pay for it. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I was shocked to find out who it was myself. I've had a good relationship with him. I've always been cordial.
One of the witnesses yesterday and somebody who knew the shooter that killed 9, and now investigation time. One of the things they do know, though, looks like it's handguns. So media turns away and just kind of, oh, well, there's nothing to see here. It's a handgun, and it doesn't look like it could have been something wrong. You know, producer Phil said, whatever happened to Crazy? Whatever happened to Crazy? Because Crazy, if it doesn't fit a narrative, it doesn't make it to the screen. There's a thing that media has done and crafted. And what's happened over, you know, when you have an audience that's essentially captured. When I lived in England the first few years when I was really young, you had a captured audience, right? You had the BBC One, you had the BBC Two, then you had ITV, and then they had Channel 4. So you had 4 stations. That was it. You had a captive audience. You were competing. Along came satellite, and all of a sudden, whoa. So you had to spice things up. We're a fractured society. Everybody's gone into their lanes. They don't always stay in their lanes, right? So they go in and out, and they're always telling everybody what to do in the other lanes. But the reality is now people only serve certain lanes. The net they cast now isn't the wide. It's the narrow. And because they realize, okay, our repeat customers want certain things. You read the New York Times. What do you want? Chances are I'm going to throw it out there, college educated, white, pro-choice, you want gun control, and you can start just checking off all of the things. It's pretty easy, right? People who read Breitbart or who watch Fox News probably worked with their hands. Business owners, small business owners, they're pro-life generally. They're for the Second Amendment, and you can start checking things off. So you're serving a customer. And the majority of Americans, the majority of Americans, that's 70%, the movable middle. We're pro-choice to a certain extent. We're for the Second Amendment and free speech. In saying that, we know that there are things when it comes to the Second Amendment that we could do, but the fear is you can't give in to certain groups because they'll try to take everything as much as possible, so you have to protect because we can't have a normal conversation. Nobody's serving us with giving us the who, what, when, how, and why. And it's frustrating. It is. And that's how conspiracy theories go from point A to point B to out of control point Z. Because you start to cover things up. You don't cover things the way that you should. You're not interested in actually telling every side of the story. You're interested in telling your side of the story. And if you bring up another side of a story, you give alternate facts, as some people say, then you're a conspiracy theorist or you're a loon. And then those people go and they have themselves their own lane and they find the things that will service them. And those things aren't interested in the other side's alternative facts or fake news. And everything spirals out of control. That sucks. It does. It sucks. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Oh, Memorial Day. I'm excited. I'm off tomorrow. I'm off Monday. Going to relax. Am I going to travel? The answer is no, but others are.
Americans on the move. 37 million expected to travel this Memorial Day weekend, up 60% over last year. The TSA planning to screen about 6 million air travelers, the most since the start of the pandemic. Some airports now offering vaccines on site. Half the U.S. adult population now fully vaccinated, but health experts insist it's no time to let up.
No, but I don't think there is anything to truly worry about. I think because of the vaccine, because of the amount of people that have been exposed to it, you know, they talk about the T-cell immunity and stuff like that, because of the amount of people that actually had it, that even though they're not vaccinated, they've actually had the virus. Some of them asymptomatic, some of them were really sick, some of them just thought they had a flu or a head cold. Because of that, we're in a situation where we're not going backwards. We're consistently seeing these numbers drop, and I think that's going to continue on, and I'm not really worried about it. There's going to be a lot of stuff, though, when you go out there and you start to travel big time. Understand, you're going to be frustrated. First of all, gas prices, or if you're flying, know that you're going to be in a situation where have a little patience. Have a little patience. People aren't. People are getting nuts. They're getting crazy. A woman in Southwest, you see that? That got her teeth knocked out? One of the attendants? It feels like it's far worse, and you've got already a claustrophobic situation, right? I'm in a cylinder tube flying 35,000 feet in the air. People are wearing masks, so they're uncomfortable. They've been wearing a mask since they got to the airport. They know when they get on the other side, they're going to have to wear a mask. They're frustrated across, many different reasons, from the last year being the worst year of their life, and they've lost everything, and now they're having to return home, or they've been pent up, stuck in there, and they're ready to get out. There's so many reasons, and then you put everybody inside of there and you stack them on top of each other. There's no reason to believe that that's going to go smooth.
All A flight attendant is seriously injured after being punched in the face repeatedly by a passenger, allegedly all over wearing a face mask. It happened Sunday morning on Southwest Flight 700 from Sacramento to San Diego.
You can hear the passenger saying to get off me, and the one in the middle saying, we're going to sue you, and then that's when she just stood up and just decked her.
According to the FAA, scenes like this are a growing problem with roughly 2,500 unruly passenger reports filed by the airlines since the beginning of the year, including 1,900 reports of passengers refusing to wear a face mask.
Yeah. People are frustrated. Oh, I'm vaccinated. Why do I have to wear a face mask? Well, I'm vaccinated. They're over it. They're over it. Look, they're doing their job. People are so impatient. And then, look, everybody's got their moment. I'm no saint when it comes to that. There's been times when we've all had their moment, but we are so impatient. We are so frustrated at the drop of a hat now. And the FAA said, we're done. We are done. We're coming hard for you, and we're going to fine you. And we'll come for you. You have no idea some of the stuff that they're looking at doing. It is a different time. People are frustrated. People are angry. They're pent up. But so's the FAA. And you think those people want to sit there and deal with you every day? Yeah, honestly, I mean, they're doing a job. Do you think like the perks are I get to fly for free and get to go all over, and I only work a certain amount of hours in a week. The bad part of it is you have to deal with a bunch of farting, rude, obnoxious people on a daily basis at 35,000 feet.
The flight attendant needing them to put their face masks over their nose. It was just below. It got out of hand. They all ended up arguing.
With more people vaccinated and the easing of health restrictions amid the pandemic, more and more people are traveling again. But with the alarming number of sometimes violent behavior by passengers, the FAA has taken a zero-tolerance policy and now extended it indefinitely.
If you disrupt a flight with threatening, intimidating, or violent behavior, you'll face a civil penalty from the FAA of up to $35,000 and possible imprisonment as well.
Yeah. We were talking the other day. I don't know, Producer Phil, you've flown a lot. Have you ever seen anybody pulled off an airplane?
No, I never have.
So I flew last year, maybe the year before, I flew to Burbank from here. And don't know what happened because there wasn't any scuffle or anything on the plane. There was there was you could see the flight attendants and stuff getting into it with somebody, but it wasn't anything that you didn't think was big, and this was pre-pandemic, so there wasn't any mask or anything like that. And I tell you what, man, they came on that airplane, they whooped that guy's ass and dragged him out of there when we landed, and I was like, wow. And nobody had any idea because we're all looking around like, what was that about? Now you take that and you multiply that by God knows how much with what's going on. Just patience, people. It's all people want. A little bit of patience, long way. A little bit of patience. We're all going to the same place. I have news for you. We're all going to the same place. That's it. You're on an airplane. It's not like, all right, here's the deal. Some of you are going to get off in the middle of the flight and you're going to go that direction. And we're all going to the same place. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Once again, fourth week in a row, jobs numbers are looking much better. Still 16 million people without jobs in this country, and there are plenty of jobs available. Certain states are trying to force people, if you will, to go back to work by saying, all right, we're no longer going to give you the federal. We're going to not accept the federal money anymore when it comes to unemployment. Let me tell you, most of those GOP states. What? Because they hate the people? Yeah, that's it. They hate the people. They want you to go back to work. How horrible is that? Angry people. Again, I go back to the pride thing. What happened to pride? Like, are we talking about what happened to crazy? Like some people, can't you just be crazy? How about this? What happened to pride? Can't you just have some pride every once in a while and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go back and get a gig. I'm not going to make as much, but I need to start working again. What it'll do for your soul and your mental well-being, I think, is great. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Rough Greens, RUFF greens.com/Chad. You get a free bag right now. It's an absolute free bag of Canine VitaSmart, which is the best thing I've ever done for my dogs. My dogs are healthier. They're happier than they have been. Especially my older dog, Doodle. He has never been this active, and it's all because of Canine VitaSmart. It's a powder. You put it right on top of your dog's food. It's got vitamins, minerals, vegetables, omega-3, 6, 9. It's got all these amazing things. The thing I love about Rough Greens is they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're saying, hey, you try it. You pay for shipping. We're going to give you a bag free. If you don't like it, well, no harm, no foul. You just paid for shipping. But your dogs are going to love it. My dog Doodle has the most mobility he's ever had. His arthritic hips, his fatty tumors, none of that seems to bother him. He is bouncy. He is happy. It is awesome. Get your Rough Greens now. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad. Get a free bag. You pay for shipping. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Or call 833-MY-DOG-77, 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
Could we be any more excited? The long-awaited Friends reunion special drops today on HBO Max.
We have such a bond from this show.
In it, the original 6 cast members reminisce about their days working on the super popular sitcom. They play games.
How many pages was that letter?
18 pages!
18 pages.
Front and back!
And they're joined by a bunch of guests, from Lady Gaga to Justin Bieber to Malala Yousafzai. The Friends reunion special is streaming now on HBO Max.
Yeah. Yesterday, people around here, it's interesting because they're excited. I didn't really watch Friends, and partly because when it was really kind of big, it was in England, and when you would get in, they would have a season, and they would show it at like 11:30 on a Friday night. We only had 4 channels. It's like so weird to think. Or you had, satellite. And by the way, satellite over there originally, Sky TV, wasn't, what it is now. You had a lot more channels. Don't get me wrong. You'd probably have 40 or 50, but half of them were in German or French. But it was very interesting. In I would watch a few episodes over there. I come back over here. Those episodes were a year and a half, 2 years behind. You're like, who's these people? Oh, yeah. What about this relation? Oh, that. So it was very interesting. But the young kids around here, they're really into it. And by young, I mean they're in their early 20s. They're really into it, and they didn't see it live, but they watch all of the reruns. That's the one thing that Netflix has done. Is like, I'm always surprised at how many, like The Office, how many young kids, like really young kids, are into The Office. I have some friends whose kids are, they're like 11, 12. They're really into The Office, and they're into the Friends, and I'm just like, wow, it's a trip. Because I've probably seen, I don't know, maybe 15 episodes of Friends. I knew what it was, but I just never was into it. But it is huge to see this. And they're still raking it in, kids. They're still raking it in. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So I want to make you guys feel like, hey, I got stuff going on in my life, right? Like, we're all good. My life's on blast. This is great. It's kids too.
Cash Quest. She is 2, going on 3, with the IQ of 146. The average IQ in the United States is about 100. Cash was recently accepted into Mensa, the largest and oldest high IQ society in the world.
Asia, what's this? Europe, what's this?
Cash Quest is definitely not your average toddler.
Tell me the 3 branches of government first.
Executive, judicial, and legislative.
Hey.
Yeah, most people probably don't even know that. How about your alphabets?
Started to notice her memory was really great, and she just picked up things really fast, and she was really interested in learning. 17, 18 months, she had recognized all the alphabet, numbers, colors, and shapes.
Cash can also identify all 50 states by shape and location on a map.
Mississippi.
She's learning Spanish, knows over 50 signs in sign language,
Please.
knows how to count to 100.
100.
Can identify elements on the periodic table by their symbols.
Phosphorus.
And is even learning to read.
Blue and yellow make green.
Yeah, 2 at 2. That's most people. I like what you said. The average IQ is about 100. I'm like, you're being generous. That's the average. Much like there's a wealth gap, there's other kind of gaps.
At the end of the day, she is also 2, and so she's in that toddler stage, so she very well much is still a normal 2-year-old where, you know, we have negotiations, we have tantrums. The way we communicate with her, it has to be different because she's able to understand just a little bit more. I think one of the biggest things with me and her dad are making sure she has a childhood and we don't force anything on her too early.
Her dad and I. You know what sucks about that? She's like, man, she's learned to spell. So all those years of being able to spell over their heads. Hey, do you maybe if we do something later, maybe we'll take them to the PARK. Now she knows how to spell. She goes, so that's done. You better figure something else out. Figure something else out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. Tweet at us. God bless. I love Jack, but that was never. We were never going, I think he's Mensa. My little brother's, I'm like, I think he's special. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Can we agree that if you took President Xi Jinping and turned him upside down and shook him, the World Health Organization would fall out of his pocket?
I don't think I can answer that question, sir. I'm sorry.
Well, do you think that the President Xi Jinping has undue influence over the World Health Organization, do you?
I have no way of knowing the influence of the president of China over the WHO.
Yeah, he does. Right now, Fauci's getting not just pushback, he's getting hammered in the state-sponsored media, that is, in China, because he supports a look into the origins of the... But wait, Chad, you're saying. Wait, that's impossible. It's already been debunked by many people at CNN, the New York Times, and MSNBC. Not to mention Facebook and Twitter, that theory is preposterous. It just happens to be a coincidence that they have a lab in Wuhan, right? That's that level 4 lab that works on coronavirus viruses, as well as many other things. And it's also part of gain of function, which means they alter some of these viruses so they could try to get ahead of these viruses and predict where some of these viruses may be headed so they can head them off should something go. That's just a coincidence. And it's also a coincidence it's right across the street from a wet market. That's just a coincidence. Nothing else. I mean, this is as natural as it gets.
Just how quickly does a virus become contagious, and what does that tell us about it? I was talking to Robert Redfield.
I do not believe this somehow came from a bat to a human. Normally when a pathogen goes from a zoonotic to human, it takes a while to figure out how to become more and more efficient. I just don't think this makes biological sense.
Saying is that at the jump, the virus sort of sputters along for a while. It's got to figure out humans. This thing came screaming out of the gates at 90 miles an hour, and that's why Redfield and a lot of others believe that was because it was already being exposed to human cells in a lab.
What? You want to know why the AZ audit can go on and people on one side of the aisle can cheer? Because they don't believe anything most of the media says. They don't. You had a year plus of people asking some questions. And for most of that year, if you raised a question about Wuhan laboratory, what did you get? You're a conspiracy theorist. You hate Asians. I mean, you got some of the most insane. I mean, they started just checking off boxes of insanity. It's no way this could happen. Blah, 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 blah. They believed the Communist government of China more than they did people on the right. Yeah, because they're better. Is that it? No, you didn't like Trump. That's fair. I got no problem with that. But are you so blinded as to not go, is it fair to ask a question? And then when you flip the script and say, well, hold on a second. You know, now that Trump's gone, that guy was right. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe this thing really didn't start there. Well, why would you say that? I mean, you are a columnist. Well, because, I don't know, other scientists are asking questions that are like not the kind where you can go, well, those people are insane and they only go on Fox. No. Other scientists from the World Health Organization who were sitting there with their arms folded going, yeah, they didn't give us access to anything. They basically walked us down a hall with minders. Then they called the press conference and said everything's fine. I don't think that's true. You wonder why things like the election was stolen? Because when you go and you tell everybody they're full of crap and it's just a conspiracy that you've made up in your mind, and then a year later you're like, well, we should really ask some serious questions because this doesn't seem to make any sense. And oh, what? Yeah, that is why things can go on. Because why would they believe you? Just out of curiosity, why would they believe anything that you have to say at that point? And there's a difference between getting it wrong, because human beings are going to get stuff wrong. I get stuff wrong all the time, as does everybody else. And continuing to push a narrative that if you ask a question about anything, that somehow you're either bad, racist, homophobic, blah, 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 a conspiracy theorist. Transparency is great. Honesty is a good thing. It really is. Do I think we'll ever know the truth? No. No, we're never going to know the truth. And the reason's pretty simplistic. First of all, even though Biden has ordered the intelligence community to get him a within 90 days of this, some sort of report, what's that report going to be? How do you handle a report like that? Are you willing to throw sanctions on them? Maybe. If it's more nefarious, are you willing to go to war? Probably not. So we're never going to know the whole truth. But to even ask a question and then be told you're insane. You know, people get mad at me on the right because I'm like, these audits I think are insane. It's not whether or not I think the audit's insane. First of all, don't let the clowns run the show. It's like anything. Don't let the clowns run the show. Secondly, when you have misinformation and disinformation, the right does as much as the left does in situations. What ends up happening? You're not getting the whole truth, and everybody jumps to conclusions nowadays, and nobody cares about what the outcome is. They just want to jump to a conclusion. That's the frustration I think all of us have. We're frustrated with the media because the media loves to divide. They love the media narratives that they get to tell that fits the things that they want. Yesterday, there was a mass shooting in Northern California, in San Jose. A mass shooting. CNN covered for a little bit. MSNBC, very little. Fox, a little bit. And there was a reason for that.
New information in from the sheriff here. She says Samuel Cassidy had 2 semi-automatic handguns and 11 magazines with ammunition that he used to kill his victims. The guns were legal and do not appear to have been modified. After searching the buildings here, they did not find any explosive devices overnight. A dog had signaled there might have been bombs. They found precursor items for building explosives in Cassidy's locker, but no actual devices. Still, nothing has been found like a note to reveal a motive.
Why? Why did he do what he did? They said he sought out some of his victims. But then when you start to go, okay, so let's see, is he a Trump supporter? Because that'll say a lot. Was this political in nature? Does this seem to be that it was a worker relationship that had gone wrong? Was he losing his mind? Were there... Okay, well, if there's none of that, he's not an Islamic terrorist. He's not working with ISIS. Oh, okay. Okay, so then the gun, right? He just had handguns? Well, there's nothing to see here. No, there is. There is. Why did he burn his house down? Why did he do what he did? But you see, the narrative is, this is what we want you guys to see. The thing you should always know that a lot of times it's the cutting room floor of stuff that doesn't make it there that you should pay attention to. How stuff is phrased, you should pay attention to. That's why things like the audit can have life. Because when you're told for X amount of months that if you even bring up something like Wuhan, that you're insane and a conspiracy theorist, only to find out that as it comes out longer and longer as it goes, more and more comes out about it. People are asking more and more questions, and now it's becoming more plausible than ever before that maybe it wasn't a conspiracy that they were pushing. That's why things get life. Media is just as guilty for giving it life as anything else. Because they've got us, I say this, they got bills to pay too. They got an audience to feed the information to that they know needs to come back time and time again. They're not interested in cultivating the audience the way they used to, and they're sure in the hell not interested in informing them. Affirmation, feed them, move on. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Me, I prefer a more cultured approach to things. I prefer more balance in stuff. And I like to inform people. And I also like to give my opinion based on actual information. And I love that. And information's huge. Learning is huge. Masterclass is awesome. I take that masterclass, at least 1 or 2 of the classes a day. I can't get through all of them every single day. Some days I can only go through 1 or 2 sessions. But it is awesome to see some of the stuff. And this is part of being that well-rounded thing that I always talk about in stuff. Being able to take something that I can sit here and you can go and Phil Ivey. I've been looking a lot at Phil Ivey. He's 10-time World Series poker winner. And he has this great thing on mental take. It's about 17 minutes in his sessions. And that helps in ways that you cannot believe. Right? Doris Kearns Goodwin, historian and political commentator, talking about politics. You've got all of the greatest in the world, right, that help you learn. From Malcolm Gladwell to Judy Blume, from Judd Apatow to Ron Howard, Samuel L. Jackson, everybody in between. About 20 lessons per. So each class that you do with somebody has about 20 lessons, and those lessons are about 10 minutes each. There's downloadable material to support it. With Masterclass, it's about 41 cents a day. If you're thinking to yourself, I want to expand my knowledge, great. Best place to be. If you're thinking to yourself, I want to expand my knowledge, but maybe I have a great novel in me. I've got a great idea for a pitch. I've got a great business idea. I would always dream of cooking. Great place to be. Because you can take that passion, maybe turn it into more than just a hobby. About 41 cents a day. Join now. Save an extra 15% for your annual membership. It's simple and easy. You go to masterclass.com/Benson, masterclass.com/Benson, masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out
What's trending? What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Let us take a peek and see what's trending. Happy birthday. Two men have shared a birthday. Christopher Lee was born May 27th, as was Vincent Price. And Peter Cushing, another one of the great horror people, also born May 26th. All those people. Oh, all those scary people. It's trending on Twitter. Top of that. Oh, man, so much stuff. Crazy stuff. Just look at this. A culture of fear is trending because of Bill Gates. Apparently, that's what he did. A culture of fear at firms that manages Bill Gates' fortune. It's going around there. Apparently, he crushes people. You don't mess with him. Or does he just want to give that off? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Amy Cooper, you guys might remember her. She was the white woman who called 911 on the black bird watcher. She's filed a discrimination lawsuit against her former employee for firing her when the video of the incident went viral. That's not a shocker. I don't know if she should have been fired for it, but that's the world we live in now. Head on over to Google. San Jose shooting yesterday, over 1 million searches. Dalton Gomez. If you haven't seen it, if you don't know this, Ariana Grande got married. And they, it's a very small, intimate gathering. They took pictures and they released it, and people were like, who is this guy? Kevin Clark. If you guys ever saw the School of Rock, he was the drummer in School of Rock. He was killed in a bicycle accident yesterday. He was 32 years old. 32. A lot of those, you see those kid shows, you're like, what happened to some of those people, like where did they go? Like some of them stay in Hollywood. Some of them have one or two kind of hits of movies, and then they just kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. And they make that kind of, of choice. And some struggle, and you know what happens. This just happened to be one of those things where he got hit. And MGM has been bought by Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Oh, no. A lot of searches yesterday on that. What's that mean? Because I think he owns The Apprentice tapes. That's what everybody thinks he's going to do. He's just going to release those. That's why he bought it. I'm like, he didn't spend $9 billion to buy Apprentice tapes. He could have got them cheaper. And Adam Vinatieri is retiring after 4,000 years in the NFL. Next stop for him is Canton, no doubt about that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us.
Today, President Biden gave U.S. intelligence agencies 90 days to find out exactly how COVID started. It's worth a shot. I mean, if you've learned anything from Marvel movies, everyone loves a good origin story, I'm pretty sure this will end with us tracing COVID back to the same lab that came up with the McRib. It's in the shape of a rib, isn't it?
Where did it come from? Well, we know where it came from because the coronavirus has been around for a long time. But how did this one do what it did? And what would be the repercussions to China and to the world if there was not only more to the story, potentially even something nefarious? We're going to touch on that. Also, kerfuffles in the WNBA, and I think it's stupid what they did to one coach. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is the fourth straight week the number of jobless claims has dropped, a positive sign for the labor market as the economy continues its pandemic recovery. 406,000 people filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits last week, bringing the number closer to its pre-pandemic level. Businesses have said they're desperate for workers to meet the surging demand, even as nearly 16 million Americans were continuing to claim benefits through unemployment programs.
Yep. Jobs are available. Who wants a job? Hot job. Anybody want a job? Got a job for you? Hot job. Anybody want a job? Anybody want a job? Jobs are available. Do people want them? Like, here's this. People want the job they want. That's kind of it. For some of you out there, that job is no longer available. Either your company's out of work and they've decided to shut down and they're not going to be around any longer. It's a possibility, right? Or they've reopened and you weren't part of their plans because they haven't brought everybody back and they think they're going to keep it at a certain level. It's a possibility as well. So now, well, you just got to take what I can get. Yes. Every once in a while, you have to do that. I have done that on many occasions. I have dug ditches in sweltering heat. I have worked in landfills. I have done a lot of things. I think people just think that I just showed up and they're like, oh, yeah, here's a job for you. No, it didn't work that way. I'm always amazed when we get these youngsters that come in, and they do expect a lot. You know, when I was a kid, and I first got into radio. So I come in, I first get into radio. I wanted to learn everything. I was willing to do everything. And I'm like, you don't have to pay me. I will show up. I will do extra. You know, I want to learn. I want to figure out how to do this gig. And I want to learn every aspect of it. But I also had to survive. So I had to take a bunch of other crappy jobs along the way. It was after I played soccer. And trust me, back in the day when I played, there was no money in it like there is now. Heck, outside of a few leagues in the world, there's not a ton of money in it. So I did a lot of different things. I did a lot of horrible things. Just like you're in landfills and I'm, stripping all the metal, and aluminum and stuff and all the rubber off of any of these things, and we're recycling them and working for plumbing companies, digging ditches for main lines. I've done a ton of crap that I didn't like, but I had a goal, and the goal wasn't, I wasn't married to any of those jobs. But I also didn't want to sit around. Hell, even when I used to tell people, when I built up my voice business and I was doing radio and stuff, doing a lot of stuff for radio stations, and I was voicing a lot of stuff, and that was my gig. I get frustrated just sitting around. This is like that's my job. My job is to, get voice jobs, and it's amazing though, man. Some people just, it's this, well, I don't really want to go back. What if I get sick? You can't live your life like that. This isn't going to change. This is where we are now. This is not the new norm. It's just a norm. It's another norm. It's not the new norm. It's another norm. It's just another thing that we have to learn to live with, through, around, and now we live above it. But show a little pride. Get a damn job. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. The WNBA, which rarely gets talked about. Ever. It's not very nice, Chad. I'm just saying it doesn't get talked about much. Can we all agree? Right? Can we all agree? Okay. Over the weekend, coach, general manager Kurt Miller was, to me, I don't think he did anything wrong, right? But he's been fined and suspended. Now, he coaches the Connecticut Sun. He said something to the referee on Sunday about a player. Liz Kabaj, I think her name is. If I pronounce that wrong, I'm sure you'll do some sort of Instagram thing about what a horrible person I am. He was frustrated with the play, and he said, come on, she's 300 pounds. Well, that just, oh, my God. So he's suspended for that and was fined for that. Then she went and she just unloaded, and I like the way she unloads first, right? And I'm saying that with a laugh.
Something went down in today's game, and I need to speak on it, because if there's one thing about me is that I will never let a man disrespect me. Ever, especially a little white one.
Well, first of all, I don't know why you brought race into it. Secondly, welcome to sports. Welcome to life. He's trying to get a call for his player, and you're suspending that because he said that? And people are all over this guy, what a horrible human being he is. She eventually threatens, you're lucky, you didn't do that to me. I'm never going to let a man disrespect me. Have you ever played sports? It's like, what do you think your coach is going to do? He's out there looking. You ever watch the sidelines of every sport ever? You don't think they're in the ears of every referee? Go, come on! Look at he's inside of his, look at him. My God, he's living inside of his uniform. He's mugged him. Does it really mean he's a mugger? I don't think so. And a lot of other things that we can't use because we're on terrestrial radio. We're not allowed. I've had coaches say things that are just so insane. Not because he really thinks that about the other player, but because they're proving a point, saying something. Why? Because she's a big girl. Is she 300 pounds? She says she's not.
To the coach of Connecticut, I'm sorry, little sir man, I do not know your name. But the next time you try to call out a referee, trying to get a call being like, come on, she's 300 pounds. I'm going to need you to get right, baby, because I'm 6'8". I'm weighing, I just double checked, because I love to be correct and get facts. I'm weighing 235 pounds, and I'm very proud of being a big bitch.
She weighs 235. I don't know if I believe that, but, what? It's like, it says on my license. It's like every NFL player, right? Jimmy's 6'2" and 283. You're like, I don't think so. I think he's 327. He says he's that. This is sports. It's what it should be. So he's been fined. Another radio host we know caused a big kerfuffle because he made fun of the WNBA. Said the Olympics are going on soon. There's not going to be any fans there. I think maybe Japan should call the WNBA and find out how they did that. And he's had to backtrack because the powers that be like, you can't say something like that. Why can't you say something like that?
This place officially sucks worse than the WNBA. And at the top of the second half, it's 16-9. Easton leads the scoring with 4.
And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult.
But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide.
Yay! And I get hammered because I'll say stuff about the WNBA. A couple of years ago, I was like, you guys are just a tax write-off. Oh, my goodness. You can't say that. I just did. Don't apologize. The coach, by the way, I'd be looking around my team going, I'm trying to get you guys calls, and you guys can't even come to my defense? None of you guys can? Part of being an athlete, okay, part of being an athlete, and part of being an athlete at that level is taking criticism. Is taking criticism. Could you imagine how many times that if coaches were fined for saying something about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Larry Bird, you start choosing things. Tom Brady, start walking it down and just start. It would be insane. It would be. But it was just amazing the way that everybody, like, you can't. Well, she's a woman. You can't. Well, no, you can. That's sports. That's what it's about. You should be out there trying to get your team calls, getting in the ear of the referee, especially if you think, hey, they're not giving my guys calls. The NBA. I had guys yesterday tweeting at me, texting me, talking about, Chad, talk about the conspiracy of the NBA and how the NBA is forcing, the referees to choose sides and to pick winners and stuff. And I'm just like, wow. But if you mention it, oh, good God. No, you'll be an adult league-ish when this kind of stuff is where you laugh and you go, that's part of the business. You weren't disrespected. In fact, the respect he showed you was because you were doing what you were doing to his player. He was trying to get a call for his player. But instead, it was seen as a slight. Don't talk about the WNBA. Well, I did. Do you watch it? No. I have no desire. Zero desire. They fined him $10,000, which is probably his entire salary. Is that a volunteer job? I got a lot of them, kids. Oh, good God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Shouldn't say stuff like that, Chad. It's not nice. It's just being honest. I am. It's like, look, I love watching the U.S. women's national team play soccer. I think it's great. It is. Do I think they deserve, fair pay? 110%. Give them the fair pay. They get the men would play a game that they would get the same, and that's totally fine. I got zero problems with that. But at the same time, it's like, don't tell me, it's just as good or it's just as exciting or it's just whatever you want to call it, it's just athletic. I don't buy into it. Sorry. I don't. Maybe I'm a jerk. Maybe I'm this, crazy, evil, misogynistic guy. I have a little one. She's great. She's awesome. She's super athletic. But at the same time, I'm not going to BS her and say, one day you can dunk a basketball. No, you can't. Dad didn't have hops, neither will you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Tweet your love. Tweet your hate. Just trying to be honest. I am. Raycon. Best earbuds around. How smooth was that? Hey, go buy Raycons now. They're amazing. Soft gel tip. Goes right in your ear. Makes it even better than before if that's possible. Having the best noise isolating, just amazing fit for your ear. Different colors, these things are so amazing. You feel the difference. There's no stems, there's no wires. When you put them in your ears, it is truly incredible. That's the thing about Raycons. With the fit, the way they are, it makes the sound pop. 6 hours of talk time, seamless Bluetooth pairing. And the thing I love, too, is the box. It comes in this amazing little case, and the case is actually a charger. So once your case is charged, you take a place, you put it back in, it charges your earbuds, and you will love, love, love these things. Right now, save big, an extra 15%. It's simple and easy. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad, 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 Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
Jobs available. Coronavirus. I have to explain to people, like, they think herd immunity is like we're going to get to zero. It's not happening that way. Could it over time? Yeah, of course. But if this is what they, what they think it is, we're heading. If not, we're pretty much already there. And people are still going by the vaccination rates, like, oh yeah, but we're at a point now where we've only got 50% of, adults vaccinated fully. You have to put in everything from vaccination rates to people that have been infected and all of those things into to one. You can't just separate. You have to be real. So there's a lot of people out there that aren't vaccinated, but they already have protection from this. So, I think when we think herd immunity, there's this thought that it has to be zero or else. It's got to be zero. Because if it's not zero, it's not that. We're close. We're very, very close to being in a situation where it's back to what it was, which is what we need. Now what happens with the rest of the world? That's going to be a very interesting thing to see how the rest of the world takes it. And by the way, I think a lot of people think because, okay, yes, are we the might of the West? Absolutely. We're the might of the world. Where we struggled and battled politically over this damn thing, the one thing we did do is once we got this vaccine, once we got everything, we have motored forward. We're coming out of it in a way where other countries, while they're coming out of it, Australia's, get out of it, we're back in it again. We're not worried about that. We're not. I don't think we're going back there. I think we're only going forward. Doesn't mean we won't have flare-ups here and there. But that's where we are. We have an abundance of vaccines. We have an abundance of things that are available to us when it comes to fighting this. So I don't think we're going to be going backwards. But the rest of the world is still struggling with it. And not everything is going to be as simple as people think. There are situations that even if we give countries vaccines, a plethora, doesn't mean they're all going to take them. Doesn't mean they're going to be handled in the correct way. It doesn't. There are other countries out there that want no part of some of the stuff that not only the West, any of that. So this is going to be, places like India are in serious trouble for the foreseeable future. The amount of people that are getting sick and dying on a daily basis is only going to go. And that number in India, God only knows what that's going to really look like. I mean, India is right now in the throngs of just absolute meltdown. I mean, on a daily basis, right now, I mean, they've come down a little bit, but 2 weeks ago, they were at 400,000 with a 7-day moving average of 390,000. That's come down a little bit, which is good. They're only at 200,000. But the deaths, it's nuts. It is. The lack of oxygen, it is, now you're going to start to look at everywhere else. Malaysia, a lot of people live there. They've got more cases per million than India at this moment. And it's spreading throughout those parts of Asia that it could be, and we still haven't seen outside of South Africa a giant jump in parts of Africa. What would that look like? It's a long way to go globally, but here we're on good footing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. This is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I'm telling you, the Chi-Coms are trying to weaponize this thing.
The kind of bat from which this virus jumped to humans wasn't even present there.
But the worst of all, whether it came from the lab or came from the bats it all came from China.
The Wuhan lab, we know that it's been debunked this week. Donald Trump is still pushing the debunked bunkum.
There was no empirical evidence to verify that.
Coming up with a conspiracy theory to try and foment xenophobia.
He may pick up the conspiracy theory that this was some weapon.
People don't keep bats in captivity.
Complete baloney.
If you look at the evolution of the virus in bats and what's out there now, very, very strongly leaning towards this could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated.
Hold on a second. Because that may not be true. It's not whether or not it's true, right? That shouldn't be the we get to decide based on this is what I think, but I have no evidence, and because I don't like Trump, I get to say that and everybody else around here agrees, and this is, no. Isn't the whole thought process is like, let's figure out where this thing came from. Let's figure out how it did what it did, how it did what it did so fast. Let's do that. Let's get the right answer as best that we can. We know it originated in China in some way, shape, or form. Was it man-made? Meaning the coronavirus itself wasn't man-made, but did they make something else in the gain-of-function research in Wuhan that caused this thing to already be a pal of the human body to attack it fast?
Just how quickly does a virus become contagious, and what does that tell us about it? I was talking to Robert Redfield.
I do not believe this somehow came from a bat to a human. Normally when a pathogen goes from a zoonotic to a human, it takes a while to figure out how to become more and more efficient. I just don't think this makes biological sense.
Saying is that at the jump, the virus sort of sputters along for a while. It's got to figure out humans. This thing came screaming out of the gates at 90 miles an hour, and that's why Redfield and a lot of others believe that was because it was already being exposed to human cells in a lab.
So, it wasn't about whether or not that's true. The question should have been able to be answered. To me, the issue is, why couldn't people ask the question? Because of Trump. It's funny to see the way that the media is spinning right now. I've always said this. I believe that it came out of the lab, but I believe it escaped in a way that people didn't know they were doing something. Barney Fife didn't guard the way he should have, and it got out. I don't think it was nefarious in nature. I could be wrong on both parts. But to ask a question now has become bad. To ask the question, is it possible that where this thing seems to originated from, as far as the people that were sick first, as far as the people that started dying first, as far as the fact that they shut down a city bigger than Chicago completely, that also happens to have like the highest level virus lab that studies coronavirus and also does gain of function, which means they try to manipulate the viruses in hopes that they can get ahead of what could be a pandemic. You couldn't even ask that question. You know how much stuff's changed? Remember, if you put it on Facebook? Facebook announced today, if you go on Facebook and you say it's man-made, they will no longer take it down. Wait, what? Yeah, no, they're not going to do that anymore. And the reason's pretty simple. They don't know. They have no idea why this took place, how this came to be. And they finally had to admit, you know what? Other people that even the left respects, the media respects, are asking serious questions, and so we better pay some attention. And even watching some of them spin. Well, the reason that people push back hard on it is because they didn't want Trump to make this the scapegoat for the economy and for all that was happening, and because he's racist. That's not an answer. You shot him down from the beginning. You shut the right down from the beginning. You shut even people on the left who aren't living in a world of I hate Trump down from the beginning. Other scientists and doctors, because it was a narrative you didn't like, because you thought, what if this thing did come from China and it was a super big cover-up? It's the whole craziness, like, can't give him a win. It's not about a win. It's about being honest. And you weren't. Again, I don't know if this thing is man-made. We've had people on, people I respect, who said, there's more to this story. And there's no doubt that the cover-up goes on. And people still buy into it. Well, the World Health Organization said there's nothing there. I'm like, you believe them? You believe them? You believe them? Honestly?
Can we agree that if you took President Xi Jinping and turned him upside down and shook him, the World Health Organization would fall out of his pocket?
I don't think I can answer that question, sir. I'm sorry.
Well, do you think that the President Xi Jinping has undue influence over the World Health Organization, do you?
I have no way of knowing the influence of the president of China over the WHO.
Mr. Kennedy's always good for a laugh. By the way, they're coming after Fauci, too, the Chinese state media. This isn't about whether or not it's true. What this is about is, why can't you ask a question? Right? What this is about is why, if you say, I think something happened with the with some of the ways that some of these elections were run, that people can look into. Nope, it's a conspiracy theorist. No, you can't. You can ask a question. We're not even at the point now where we're trying to shoot down the conspiracy. We're shooting down the question before it, which makes people buy into something here. It's like, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Now, after, there are some people out there, no matter what you do, no matter how you placate them, their mind is made up. So they're going to buy into it all the time. And that, like here, there are people that I talk to that I've followed my show for a long time, and they will never in their life believe for an instance that Trump didn't win the last election. Or at least in their state. And even if you go and you count every single vote over again with them in the room, they'll say these aren't the real votes. Those people, no. But you can ask some questions, just like you could have with Wuhan. But when big tech and big media decide, no, you're not allowed to ask that, it makes you go, oh, I can't, no, because it's already been settled and blah, 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 blah. They were stopping you even questioning this before even the World Health Organization had released their pretend report that they said, we had access to nothing. They didn't give us anything. We're not happy with what they were doing. Who gets to make that? What scientist at Facebook gets to come up with that rule? That's why when you do something like that, then you turn and you spin the other way, you can see why people go, well, no wonder they're not believing what you say when it comes to the election, because you fought so hard against this. You give more credence to people out there who then go down a rabbit hole that's farther, and then they start making all kinds of if you go from point A to point B, and these two were seen in a room once in 1968, next thing you know, you start connecting the dots, and that's when you get way out there. It's Occam's razor, though, when you think about it, when it comes to something like Wuhan, where you're just like, yeah, it's pretty much a straight line here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Talk a little bit of lottery. I got a great lottery story. I got a couple stories. One of them is really interesting, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Would you do what this family did? Plus, Ohio made their first drawing yesterday. 323-538-2423. Masterclass. The class indeed. Every day I try to get a couple master classes in. So right now I'm Malcolm Gladwell, Phil Ivey, great writer, great poker player. I'm learning from the masters. They're not people who teach it in the sense that this isn't what they do. They actually do this. It's the old adage, right? Those who can do, and those who don't can teach. Well, now imagine having the people that actually do it teach you. And that's what Masterclass is all about. Each lesson is about 20 classes. All right. So you go like maybe Judy Blume, or you want to learn from Salman Rushdie about writing, or learning cooking from Wolfgang Puck. It comes with downloadable material. Each one of those classes, though, that you go into and you take that lesson, it's about 10-minute video, give or take. You can watch it anywhere on your smart TV, tablet. It is awesome. It is incredible what you learn. Maybe you just want to expand your knowledge in all kinds of areas. Science, politics, you can do it. But truly is amazing. And for the price, it's like 41 cents a day for an annual membership for a year. Take advantage of it. They're adding new things every day. Maybe you got a youngster who's interested in science. They've got so much. Maybe you got a youngster who's really into sports and mentally you could see where they're going and what they want to do. They've got you're learning from like the Steph Curry's. Wayne Gretzky just added, and it is amazing to hear him talk about the mental side of stuff. Like I said, 41 cents a day. That's what it costs. You can save big. Go to masterclass.com/Benson, masterclass.com/Benson. Take advantage of this annual membership. You will not be disappointed. Masterclass.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter @Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
Americans on the move. 37 million expected to travel this Memorial Day weekend, up 60% over last year. The TSA planning to screen about 6 million air travelers, the most since the start of the pandemic. Some airports now offering vaccines on site. Half the U.S. adult population now fully vaccinated, but health experts insist it's no time to let up.
Yep, we're going to be traveling because we've been stuck not traveling the way that we used to do. We did a few times, right? We did a few times. And then that ended up costing us with huge spikes. Well, now we've got a lot of people that are vaccinated. We got a lot of people that have already had this. We're in a position where I don't think anybody's really worried too much. Most of the people that aren't vaccinated are younger, and we've seen that the younger handle this thing fairly easy comparatively to older people, and especially people that struggle with ailments, compromised immune systems, and so this is much different compared to what it was last year. Doesn't mean, though, the security getting through it's going to be any easier.
Newly released surveillance video shows a woman evading airport security not once but twice with no boarding pass. The incidents happened at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport in November. Yasmina Payton is seen ducking under the ropes when TSA agents are not looking. Then she calmly boards an American Airlines flight. Minutes later, American Airline agents pull her off the plane. But surveillance video shows Payton returning the next day. She again makes it to the gate with no boarding pass, walking around another passenger to get on another American Airlines flight. She's pulled off the plane and tries to board 3 more times before police were finally alerted.
Tell me again how that she got to do that 3 more times. Tell me exactly how that happened. Oh, that's right, because the TSA is. So I was telling, they're the placebo effect, people. They're the placebo effect.
It's very disturbing that after billions of dollars being spent on the physical security of airports and keeping the public safe, that somebody could do something so easy as to just duck under a velvet rope and get into a cleared passenger area.
Yeah. And the other part is, how is it that they continued to let her go over and over again? I'm curious about that. Like, you would think at some point you're like, all right, we need to arrest her is what we need to do.
The TSA was at a low during COVID in terms of the number of passengers processed every day. Now that we're ramping back up, getting into the summer season, people are back traveling again, the TSA is going to have to tighten up.
Yeah. Please tighten up. That's all we're asking. Just a little bit. Just a smidge. Like maybe if she doesn't have a pass and she gets on 12 times, that somebody does something.
406,000 people filed first-time claims for unemployment benefits last week, still higher than before the virus infected the economy, but well below the pandemic peak. In fact, it's the lowest level of weekly jobless claims since the pandemic began, and a sign, economists say, of a healing labor market. There's still a ways to go. Employment is down in this country by some 8 million jobs.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't know how many jobs are available. Let me see. Oh, 8 million. That's weird. That's like you put those together. That feels like a puzzle. Doesn't it? Like it's 8 million? Actually, I think it was 8.1 million, the largest amount of job openings we've had ever. So there's actually more jobs. It's not the job I want. Okay. Well, don't expect any more checks. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are excited to announce the first winner, Abigail Buginski from Silverton. Congratulations! You just won $1 million in the Vax-A-Million giveaway.
What? States are getting on board any way they possibly can. It's Ohio gave away their first $1 million yesterday.
Our lucky Ohio student winner is Joseph Costello from Englewood. Congratulations! You just won a full 4-year, full-ride scholarship to an Ohio public university or college.
Look at that. What if you don't go to college? Can I give it to somebody else? Can I give it to my pal? Look, I'm not going to. Mom and dad, they died young and they left me a lot of money, and I've invested pretty wisely in Bitcoin and meme stocks. I don't feel like going to college, so can I give that away? Is it working? Seems to be. More and more places. You got to dangle the carrot. We talked about that yesterday, right? Like that what they call it, the movable middle. Scientifically, there's a movable middle that you can go to, and if you dangle the right carrot, you can kind of get them to do stuff.
What the consensus is that this is more than just a fun gimmick. A lot of these strategies, these fun lotteries, are actually based in real science. There's something called the movable middle, and this is a group of Americans. They're not against the vaccine, but they're not rushing out to get it either. And given the right nudge, they would happily get it. And things like lotteries, free stuff, that can be incredibly motivating.
Yeah, the movable middle. How do you get them to do stuff? Well, apparently it's lotteries, things like that. Convenience is always a big thing. But that made me laugh because I'm thinking to myself, is that, yeah, people do that. I've talked to more and more people. Yeah, what do I get out of it kind of thing? Besides, some people are like, well, you got to be safe. I always wait enough for people. Again, they're not against it. They're going to need a nudge to do it now. They're going to need a nudge to do it now. Like, I am totally going to get around to it. What if I told you you're going to get this? Well, then I'll get around to it now. Get around to it now. Either you put you can't get it after this date, or you give them something That's what makes people do stuff. You got to find out, do I need to dangle a carrot? Which is stupid. I'm like, I'm not coming over there for a carrot. How about dangle a donut? Well, Chad, when they came up with that, it was all about horses, right? I put in front of a horse, the horse followed a carrot. I know, but we're talking about humans, so dangle something else. And don't do something stupid. Don't offer me baseball tickets. Now, if you say, hey, you get to throw an inning in relief, okay, I'm listening. You get a kickoff for an NFL team? Okay, you got me paying attention now. See, a little bit different. You get to play drums for who do we like? Metallica, because Lars is a turd. So you can play drums for them? No, okay. All right. Yeah. You're dangling something. It's got to be something worth it. People will get out of bed for a chance. If you would have told them you're just going to give them all a bunch of scratchers, people would be all over that. They would. Because you never know what can happen with a scratcher. Case in point, this little story.
I mean, I had a $1 million in my hand, and on the other hand, I wanted to do something good.
Abi is referring to a lottery ticket his mother had sold to one of the regular customers. The ticket sat discarded in the store for 10 days after the customer assumed it wasn't worth anything and handed it back to be tossed out or for the second chance drawing.
One evening, I was going through the tickets from the trash and outside, and I found out that she didn't scratch the number, and I scratched the number, and it was $1 million underneath the ticket.
So she got a scratcher. She spent $30 on a scratcher, right? And this guy's going through the old discarded ones. And she's like, well, this lady didn't do anything. Knew exactly who the lady was, right? She knew exactly who the lady was. Lee Rose Figia. She bought the $30 Diamond Million scratch-off ticket at the Lucky Stop. And then, she goes, I was in a hurry, lunch break, just scratched it real quick, looked at it, and it didn't look like a winner, so I handed over to them, throwaway. And it was there behind the counter for 10 days when he saw it and said, oh, and he scratched it. He's like, oh, it's $1 million winner. $1 million winner. And then the dilemma. Because there's going to be a dilemma, right? As human beings. She handed it to me to throw away. So she's given it to me, to my possession, because she feels it's not worth anything. So I've just discarded it. And now I have it in my possession. And for a lot of people, they wouldn't have done what they did.
And after much deliberation,
we didn't sleep 2 nights. He called my mom, my grandparents in India and asked what to do. My grandparents said, give it back. We don't want that money.
The family decided to return the ticket. Since the customer visited the store often, they knew where to find her.
As soon as she came in, I handed her a $1 million ticket, and she freaked out and cried like a baby. She sat down on the floor right here.
The Lucky Stop proving to be a lucky spot and home to some very kind people.
They called her and told her to come over. And she started to go, oh, my God, what happened? He said, just come over. Is it bad? They said, we have something life-changing for you. She was in disbelief. She almost died in January with COVID. She says she felt like that was winning the lottery. This is double. They got a $10,000 bonus from the lottery, but she also gave them a financial bonus as well. It's a pretty solid thing. Now, this is something I would say, though. You know that person. That makes it tougher, doesn't it? Because if you don't know them, and it's just somebody that maybe once in a while comes in random, says, he doesn't really say anything, buys a ticket or two, and leaves, you may not get that one back. But because you have a relationship with this makes it different because you have that relationship. Makes it a little bit tougher if you want to keep it, but also a little bit easier to give back. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Tell you what, just more and more the Wuhan stuff comes out, more and more I just start laughing, just watching people spin, trying to, like I said, I don't know if it's came from the lab. I just look and say, well, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, chances are it's probably a duck, meaning they've got a lab in Wuhan, very convenient, right? The thing started in Wuhan. There's a lab that's there. That lab studies coronavirus. That lab also does gain of function, which means they play with viruses to alter them to try to get to the root of how they can stop them, trying to predict the next quote-unquote pandemic, which also happens to be the lab across the street from the wet market. I mean, it all seems like we're putting stuff together. But it is funny to watch the way the media is like, well, the reason was this or the reason was that. And we think it's only because he was, again, it's not about whether or not you believe this or don't believe this, or that we'll ever find out the actual truth of it, because I don't think we will. I think the Chinese are never going to allow us to find out the truth. We'll get to, Biden yesterday. People were, well, Biden stopped the Department of Justice from investigating. I said, yeah, it's good. They shouldn't be investigating that. But he did tell the intelligence community, hey, you guys need to investigate this. The intelligence community, and I need it within 90 days. Doesn't mean anything's going to come out of it. The scary thing was you couldn't even ask the question. You couldn't. You couldn't ask the question at all.
You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this out. If the first cases of COVID-19 occurred in November with lab workers, doesn't that make it more likely than not that the source of the virus was in the lab, not a wet market? So I think it's becoming increasingly clear. We haven't found an animal yet that is a good host for the virus. If the first cases involve lab workers in Wuhan, it's most likely they got it in the lab.
I would say yes, but maybe other people are saying no. Right? Like it's that's just me. Lindsey Graham's right. You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
So how can the Congress help President Biden? We should put together a sanctions regime against China, put in place sanctions until they fully cooperate with the international community to find out the source of the virus. I don't think without sanctions, without international pressure, they're ever going to help. So you can look at this till you turn blue in the face. The only way China's going to respond is when the world makes them respond.
And that's it, the world. The question is, what if? I believe they got out of there in a way that was more Barney Fife than nefarious, but you do have to ask the question. So we're investigating this for a lot of different reasons. Could China have prevented this? Meaning, could China have gotten in front of this thing after they knew it was deadly and much earlier in this, that we could have gotten access to stuff that could have helped us develop something, could have fought this earlier? Is that a possibility? And through their cover-up, did they cost hundreds of thousands and million-plus people's lives? And how do you hold them accountable? And if it's nefarious, how do you go to the next step? Because sanctions just aren't going to be it. So there's a lot that goes into this. And the question, sometimes you don't want to know the answer, because the answer is going to cost you to have to make a decision that may be a decision that doesn't benefit anybody. But for the average person who thought that there was something here, this isn't about what comes out of it at this moment in time. This was about the fact that you were told you were nuts and that you were a conspiracy theorist and that it can be completely debunked when it had never been looked at and you couldn't even ask the question. That's the scary part here in our country. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us. Memorial Day is here this weekend. A lot of people are going to be out and about, enjoying themselves, getting themselves ready for that summertime feel, barbecuing, enjoying themselves. And then, lo and behold, it's Father's Day. And Father's Day, it's like being a dad now. It's like, it's the best thing in the world. But, we were joking the other day. It's like, man, talk about getting gypped, huh? It's like Omaha Steaks wants to change that. No more ties, right? No more tools that they don't use. How about steaks? How about Omaha Steaks? How about the Get Out and Grill assortment? It is incredible. So this is what you get. You get butcher cut strips, right? So you get these New York strips, which are amazing. We'll get to those in a second. The boneless breast, Omaha steak burgers, gourmet jumbo franks, Omaha steak fries, caramel apple tartlets, the seasoning. On top of that, they're going to throw in 4 free New York strip burgers. Here's what's amazing about the New York strips. They age them 30 days. It's important because age equals tenderness. Get this for Pops. He's going to love it. And guess what? You're going to love it too, because there's a very good chance Dad's going to be like, we need a barbecue. So who gets to take advantage of that as well? You do. It's a win-win all around. Dad's going to love it. Your stomach's going to love it. Go to omahasteaks.com right now. In the search engine bar right there at the top of that, type in code CHAD. That's the keyword right there. omahasteaks.com. Keyword is Chad. omahasteaks.com. Keyword Chad. Get Out and Grill assortment. Get 4 free New York strip burgers along with all this amazing stuff. omahasteaks.com. Keyword Chad in the search bar. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
People are already upset. It's not even debuted yet, but I think they feel like they were sold a bill of goods when it comes to the Friends reunion.
Could we be any more excited? The long-awaited Friends reunion special drops today on HBO Max.
We have such a bond from this show.
In it, the original 6 cast members reminisce about their days working on the super popular sitcom. They play games.
How many pages was that letter?
18 pages!
18 pages.
Front and back!
And they're joined by a bunch of guests, from Lady Gaga to Justin Bieber to Malala Yousafzai. The Friends reunion special is streaming now on HBO Max.
Yeah. The people thought it was going to be like an actual episode kind of thing, and it's not. It's just basically them just chilling and talking and special guest and being interviewed. And I can see why people would be upset, because when they put this thing together, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna," and people get excited because they've seen reboots of all kinds of things. They're rebooting this and they're rebooting that, and no, sorry, it's people. This is as close as they want to get to those characters. And look, let's be real. I think I'm trying to think which of them has really gone on, and obviously Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox for a while did pretty well, but Joey. Right, Matt. I think he did. I think he did okay. His shows have been, like hit and miss, but the other ones, man, he's at a search party. Find him. It's not very nice, Chad. I'm just saying. It's like the other guy in Nirvana. There was another guy. You mean it wasn't there wasn't a duo? No, there was another guy. Watch this, producer Phil. You know his name, right?
I do.
Tell the world what his name.
And of course, Kurt Novoselic. Chris Novoselic.
Kurtz, whatever. There was, yeah. I think afterwards, and he was like a blue, like a. He was into blues, and then he was into like bluegrass, and
he's a lawyer now.
Yeah, then he was a politician, and I think for a while he has a giant farm. Yeah. But there was another guy. Oh, my Lord. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet and text the program. I just want everybody to have a safe, amazing Memorial Day weekend. Buddy Craig's in tomorrow. Of course, Monday, Memorial Day. To the men and women out there who've served in the past. My Uncle Vic, who passed away several years ago. To all of you who have served our country in some capacity. God bless each and every one of you. It's yeoman's work. Most of us don't have the courage, or the want to do something like that. And for a lot of you guys, you did. And for that, I just don't think we can say thank you enough. Have a great and blessed, amazing weekend. I will be back on Tuesday after some rest, some golf, and more barbecue than I probably should be eating. We'll do it. Until then, night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.